Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Observable Flutter. My name is Craig Labenz, and I am setting this up at the last second here, as you can see. And today, I'm going to work on a little kind of lightweight project that I'm actually very excited to actually use myself in my real life. I'll get into the details of that in a moment, but for now, let's handle what we know we have to get through. So, folks, do remember this is the Flutter community, and let's live up to our sterling reputation, or at least our sterling opinion of ourselves. Okay, I guess that's it because there's no guest today. So, what I want to work on today. Hello, everyone, by the way. Oh, I should get my, let me get the little chat overlay going that we've made on past streams. And then I can say hi to people. So that'll take just a second. Figure out what buttons to click here. CDing into the, I haven't gotten rid of everything on my screen yet, so I'm just gonna narrate my early actions here. CDing into my YouTube watcher folder. If I can remember the path, there it is. Observable Flutter YouTube watcher, and then it's in an app directory for no good reason. Now I need to just Flutter run this. There was some bug that we had last time. I think I think there's a problem with this when when a chat gets deleted. So nobody say anything bad. That needs to be moderated. Well, I would click on this if the app was already running, but Tecmo asks, are you using Riverpod as state management? I haven't really used Riverpod very much, no. I came to Flutter development from the web, and I did I did a fair amount of React kind of DOM development, whatnot. Oh boy, what's the problem here? There's packages that are problematic. All right, this thing's not gonna run. And it's not about, we're not trying to debug that today, so I don't want to waste time fixing the YouTube watcher. At some point I should actually like vendor this. I should have a stable build so I'm not running a new build every time. That would make it more durable. Because I think just updated some packages and then they had conflicts with each other. I'm smart. Okay, anyway, enough of that. So what I want to work on today, I was talking about state management. Yeah, Riverpod. I came from React, and I use the library in React state management called Redux, and it's pretty verbose in JavaScript land. I haven't used it in years, so maybe it's tighter now. That's basically its one downside, but the concept of that state management loop just really made sense to me with what they called the reducer, which is the thing that it's like map reduce, like that kind of reduce. So it takes your state and a bunch of events and it produces a new event at the end. And in Flutter, we just call that a block. The business logic component has the exact same pattern as a reducer from Redux. And that just made a lot of sense to me. I had a lot of familiarity with it, so that's what I use. But Riverpod's great. And Randall's in the chat. Yeah, a former Riverpod advocate, now into Signals. Signals was the topic of our last week's show. And Randall, I heard that you were feeling under the weather. Today, it seems that you are over the weather. So good job. And I was sad that the Signals stream fell on a week when you weren't here to celebrate. I'm sure you would have been rowdy in the chat. So that was a minor L that we all took last week. Oh, still in your hospital gown. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, I'm glad that you are at least well enough to tune in. Not that means you had to tune in, but I'm glad you were at least well enough to. Oh, we got a first time live watcher. That's great. Welcome. Let's see. I think someone's kind of on it here. Isaiah Prince Will, there's a lot of letters there. I'm looking down at my iPad to read the chat. Glad to see how we would create Duolingo in a few minutes. Well, it'll take more than a few minutes. That was a loud sneeze from my wife. It'll take more than a few minutes, and it won't be full featured Duolingo, that's for sure. But that is kind of the direction that I want to go. So let's talk about it. What I want to build here is somebody says block user but currently having to deal with getx hell. Ugh, ugh. That's not fun. Yeah, when folks talk about, you don't need any state management package, and like that's technically true. All state management packages amount to collecting user inputs, figuring out how they modify your state, and then having your state, somebody calling set state to update the UI in response to the new state, right? So that's like all state management packages amount to that. So that's pretty simple. So like, well, maybe I don't need a state management package. But the good ones, so, signals, block, riverpod, command, others almost certainly have guardrails to help you not accidentally like couple the wrong things and help you with dependency injection and help you, there's just like foot guns that you would like find on your own on accident. And then you'd have to wrap up your foot and stop the bleeding and figure out how to not make that mistake again. And the state management packages help you not suffer that problem. And so, I think I've not really used getx much in like ever. I don't know if I've ever added it to a pubspec file, but my understanding of its philosophy is that it helps you find the foot guns sometimes. So, okay. Randall says state management is about making observable data. That's interesting. And I think I would agree with that. Yeah. It's about making observable data. So that's when the data changes, something called set state, right? So now your UI is observing the data. But then the data also has to mutate. Otherwise, you're going to have a brochure app or something. And so then you need to, it's observable data, which is also influenced by the user, right? Okay, so what I am going to work on today is the biggest feature that I wish Duolingo had. So I've been learning Korean for a long time. My sister is Korean, and my family is into everything Korean. I learned how to eat with chopsticks as I was learning how to eat with a fork, and Korean food's my favorite food, and et cetera, et cetera. So I've been learning Korean in Duolingo. I'm still, of course, terrible at it. My joke that I always say is that I'm about as good at Korean as a dog that lives in a Korean-speaking household, because I can say almost nothing. I understand very little. And most of what I know happens to orient around food. So I am a dog that lives in a Korean-speaking household. But what I really wish that I could do is have better targeted like vocab lessons. The last lesson that I've been in has a bunch of, it's introducing like kind of location-based words. So here, there, where, nearby, far. And these words, they're just not really sticking. They're kind of all one blob in my head. So what I want is an app where I can practice specific types of words. So I want to say all prepositions. I want to practice those. Or maybe I want to practice colors, or maybe I want to practice like the 20 most common verbs, or I want to practice like family names or food items. I want to be able to say onion in Korean or whatever, or animal names, blah, 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 blah. Now, in the world of AI, you could enter such an app speaking any language and target any other language that you want to speak. And the app, I think, I think it's very reasonable to build something where you don't just have, I'm not going to build an app for an English speaking person to study Korean. I'm going to build an app for any person to study any language. And because you could just ask Gemini, say like, oh, I want to use, today I want to study prepositions. And it already, you've already selected the language that you're studying. So it figures out like, all right, well, what are the maybe 10 to 15 most important prepositions in the language that you're worrying about? It's probably the same as every other language. And, make some flashcards. And you could decide, do I want to go from my native language to that? Or do I want to go from the language I'm studying back to my language? Because those are both, kind of neural pathways you need to hit independently. And maybe you type in the answer yourself. Maybe you don't have that keyboard and you just want to sound it out, or you're writing it down. Like I've been doing a lot of writing on my tablet as I try to remember the word and like build some more muscle memory that way. And then I would just report to the app, did I get it right or not, as opposed to it working out whether or not I got it right. So that's what I wish I could do in Duolingo. I can't because it's very prescriptive about how you should learn. In fact, it's obviously not even prescriptive about how you should learn. It's just prescriptive about how you should keep your streak going. If we're being honest with ourselves. So yeah, that's the goal for today. So looking back down at, Remy. Hi, Remy. Not a big fan of Duolingo. Honestly, I'm not either. I'm really just a thrall to the streak, which if I was a stronger man, I would walk away from. But you quite like Anki instead. Interesting. I will have to check that out because a lot of Duo hate in the chat. It's honestly all warranted. No serious language learner would learn with purely Duo. Totally. All right. So I've outlined what I am interested in. Oh, okay, man. A lot of cool suggestions coming in. One person finds Anki a little tedious and stressful. Interesting. They use Quizlet. I've not heard of either of those, but just based on its name, Quizlet makes me think like maybe it's similar to what I'm talking about. But instead of looking that up, because then I wouldn't have anything to build on this stream, I'm going to build what is maybe going to be a Quizlet clone, and a much worse one. Will I vibe code it? Yeah, basically. Otherwise, it will be, oh boy, won't get far. Won't get far fast at all. So let me orient my windows here a little bit. I'm going to pull up a new project window, and then I will switch to my monitor, and we will be up and running. So cd dev git Craig observable Flutter. I guess I could just switch to it now, huh? And then I'll say AGY. No. I'm going to do a Flutter. That's not how you spell Flutter. Flutter, create. I guess I'll do empty. And I don't really care about the platforms. I'll probably just do platforms web for now. Otherwise, I'm going to end up deleting the other ones anyway. And this will be a vocab tester? I don't know. Language learner? That's more general. Yeah. Add voice features. So voice features would be great, but I think if you really want voice features, then I do know of a handful of other apps that will try to listen to what you say and tell you, work out whether or not you pronounce the word correctly. That is also, I don't even know what like ML libraries I would need. You give me a WAV file and I have to tell you whether or not you pronounce 감사합니다 correctly, or even a word in English. I'm not even sure what I would do. I guess maybe there's multilingual voice to text. Maybe that's just what they all do. It's an interesting thought. Okay, so let's load this up, Language Learner, in the Observable Flutter directory. I'll make the text a little bit bigger here. Flutter TTS package for voice. Oh. All right, well, I'm definitely going to end up running out of time today anyway. We obviously won't have a functional app at the end of this, no matter what. So just like a while ago, I was working on a game for quite a few sessions, quite a few streams. I hope to come back to this. I know it's going to be delayed for a while, like at least a month right after today, because I have a guest next week. Then I'm going to be out of office for a stretch that covers 2 Thursdays. And then I have a guest the week I come back. So it's going to be minimum March before I touch this again. But I do hope to continue to work on it, and because I'm going to use it. So, but we might get to voice. Oh yeah, AGY. I actually, let me show you all. I change editors so rarely. Like my whole editor history is like TextMate into Sublime Text 2 into Sublime Text 3 into VS Code into AGY. I briefly used Atom, but it was very slow. And then VS Code was like not slow Atom. So I change editors like every 3 years at most. And I'd used VS Code for the last like 5 plus. But check this out. I made this very crazy change. Look at that. My muscle memory has been mapped to anti-gravity. That's my the level to which I'm enjoying it. I don't think I would have changed to an editor with a different UI, so I appreciate that it's just a Codium fork. Okay, folks, it is time, and I'm going to begin as one does when they are going to ask an AI to write a lot of their code. Oh yeah, do you want planning mode? We're going to get ourselves a really nice spec with steps and all the things before we go through it. And I'm even going to lean on you all and anti-gravity and Gemini itself to figure out what features I even want. So I am building a language learning app. The core user journeys I want to support are around vocabulary practice. I want users to be able to specify their native language and the language they are learning. I then want users to be able to choose categories of words like prepositions, colors, foods, etc., and have AI gather all of the necessary. First have AI, let's see, like kind of aggregate the list of relevant words. Can I make this bigger? I can. Possibly offering like small, medium, and large data sets. Then gather all of the necessary translations. Then allow, before finally allowing the user to practice. Users should be able to go from their native language to their target language, or the inverse, always their choice. The user should also be able to type in answers and have the app decide whether or not they were correct, or possibly practice on their own and tell the app whether or not they were correct. Progress should be tracked, including, how do I want to phrase this? Like, the app should have some opinion on how well you've learned a word. So like, progress should be tracked. I guess I'll just say those words. I don't even know what this means. Including some opinion on how well the person has learned a new word based on recent success or failures. I think this is enough for Gemini to get specking, but before I type this out, I am going to read what you're all saying. Please propose a detailed PRD for this project. Oh, and then I'll say use freezed for data classes, block for state management. Again, I'm just a Redux girly, so block feels so natural to my brain. What else do I use? Go router, and the infamous package data layer, which is my own abomination, for reading, writing, and caching data. And then I think I'm going to not worry about like persistence yet, because the data layer package is going to help abstract that. Okay, so now I'm going to read chat and let's see what we've got here. Oh, Randall is surprised that I'm already... Oh, did I not mention a Flutter project? Oh, I see what then you said you're in a Flutter project already. Yeah, okay. Well, now we're doubly explicit there. Let's see. I think vibe coding and testing English skill now and imagination. I just saw Google DeepMind publish. Okay, I'm not sure what that is, but interesting. Good thing I get a lot of daily tokens. I actually am using a personal account that I pay for. There's some shenanigans that I could go through, I think, to like get a work thing, but you know, I have a family account with Google One and whatnot, and everyone uses it, so I'm just paying for it myself. Signals that block. I have to spend more time with signals to learn, to like really internalize it and feel fluid with it. So, but that's not the point of this stream. And okay, folks. By the way, there's so many good state management packages. In the words of one of my favorite movies ever, Monty Python. Let's not bicker and argue about who killed who. This is supposed to be a happy occasion. Like we don't want to, you know, we're not here to fight about state management. They're all really good. All right, I'm pressing enter. And here we go. Now I'll take a sip of my coffee, which is getting cold. That's exciting. Someone says Google should give free access to employees. Well, I need you to email Sundar. Tell him that. And tell him on all the other Google products too. I want for YouTube TV. I want for YouTube Premium. I want free Waymo rights. I want free Google One. I want free... What else? What else does Google sell? But I want them all. So please do inform him of the importance of me getting them. Okay. Ooh, executive summary. Am I the executive? Oh, I've never been so flattered in my life. Language learner. We'll probably need a cheekier name at some point. This is the package name, so we'll worry about that later. Is a Flutter-based application, blah, 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 AI practice sessions. Users can select their native and target languages, generate vocab lists using AI, and engage in various practice modes. Love it. That does sound like what I typed. Excellent. Okay, core user journeys, onboarding and setup. He selects their native language and target language. L1, L2, nice. Saved locally and used as defaults for future sessions. Okay, this is already interesting. that would mean like someone's progress would be almost like namespaced based on their L1 and L2. So they could come back in and go from, instead of L1 to L2, they go from L1 to L3. And obviously, like, they don't have any practice on those words. So this is interesting. I have to think about this more as we go. Content generation, the AI curator. User browses or searches for a vocabulary category. Prepositions, airports. Oh, airport? What? That's an interesting category. What? Okay, yeah. What kind of category is this, you mad lad? Crazy. Okay, data set sizing. Okay, this is good. Love that. Generation. The app requests AI to generate lists of words with translations. That's so good. User sees a generated list before starting practice. That's, yeah, love it. Okay. Practice modes, directionality, yep. Interaction types, self-verified input match. Perfect. Progress tracking word mastery. Each word pair tracks its own mastery score. Yeah, with spaced repetition, that's certainly good. Like getting it right 10 times in a row doesn't, is not as good as getting it right on 10 different days. So that is good. Decrease mastery score, increases frequency. Love it. Session summary. That's good. Technical architecture. Oh, Flutter, you say, huh? Well, that's an interesting take. Block, freezed, Go router, data layer. Yeah, okay, it's just telling me what I told it. Okay, the models. Now this is where we're starting to get into something. So learning profile, ID, native language, target language. So we don't have any concept of auth right now, which I think is probably, does it make sense to have an auth layer here? I mean, if without auth layer, you just store everything in like native, what's the word I'm looking for? You just store it in like local storage. So someone's browser session would track everything. I mean, I guess we need auth. I mean, I would use ServerPod for this, which I think I will probably do. But I think I'll add that later because, again, like I was mentioning, data layer will help us abstract that. Stream just started and the coffee's already cold. I know. I don't think I got it quite hot enough to start, so I kind of started behind the 8 ball. Ready? Got to learn how to say fighter jet and ejection seat. Yeah, for that one, we'll probably get to, 200 words for the like true deep dive. Okay, let's see here. So this, yes, okay. Learning profile. I think this is right. This seems reasonable. Vocab set. Okay. Size, sure. Words. This is a list. So, this is interesting. Like, should words be... There's 2 ways this app could be built. Well, there's a lot more than 2, actually, but there's at least 2 ways this app could be built. One, Philip had this really interesting video like a year or 2 ago about the probable rise of niche software as AI just gets better and better, and the ability, like I would never make this app if I had to code it in the old world ways. I want it to exist, but I don't want it to exist that badly that I'll spend like 5 weekends on it or more. But now it's going to be like 5 or 6 streams on Observable Flutter. So now I'm going to do it. So Philip was talking about the rise of niche software where people just write something that they use themselves. And it was super enlightening video. And prescient for sure. So like that's one way that this could be taken is I just make this to run locally and it's up on GitHub and anyone else could clone it and run it. And you just have your own data set and, even if there's ServerPod, it's like a Postgres database running in Docker on your computer and that's the end of it. And I think that's pretty reasonable, but you could also actually deploy it and then other people would use it. And then 2 or more people would like be learning the same words. And that begs the question, like, should there just be one record in the database for like the word pizza? And should it then, if someone else is learning the word pizza and because they asked this app to start studying foods, and it also generates pizza when just Gemini is saying, all right, well, what are like 50 foods that you might want to know? And pizza is now on their list, and it's already in the database because a previous user used it. Like, is there any value in pointing to that? Or do we just like make another thing? This is your pizza in the database. I don't actually know yet, but I think this is a really big unanswered question here. So I'll probably explain that. I don't know. I might just start very simple and have everyone, if I learn the word pizza and you learn the word pizza, we just each have pizza in our in our word list, which would mean words would have to point to users. This is interesting. Okay. Vocab item. I'm guessing. Oh, okay. So here we're kind of getting the answer to how it thinks we're seeing its opinion on what I've just been blabbing on about. Gemini here is not imagining a like words table that just stores the single instance of every word. It's also a question of like, which language do you store that in? It's not totally clear. So a vocab item here, this could make sense. So if I'm learning the word pizza in a different language, that's native for me is English. So pizza is literally stored here. And then this is just pizza in the language that I'm learning. I don't even know it in Korean yet. And then somebody else learns pizza and they just get their own version like this. And the two shall never meet. I think that's reasonable. I think I'm comfortable going with that. It balloons the database like a little bit, but that's only in a multi-user situation, and who knows if this will ever be deployed? Probably not. I have a question. I usually struggle with infinite scroll. Any suggestions on how to manage memory? Well, that is a good question. Off topic. I'll try to remember to get back to it at the end. Which model are we using? I just use Gemini for the most part. Not everyone at Google does. I know some of my teammates are really into Claude Code. The problem is that most words have multiple meanings depending on context. Oh, that is such a great point. I think the vocab set is going to probably provide that context. That's a really good point. Yeah. And there's also, that's super interesting. I mean, let's say I wanted to learn a bunch of different adjectives, like really, really basic ones like, fine, cool. They have different adjectives and they have different meanings, and those meanings reside within the same category of adjective. So I don't have an answer to this yet. This is good. Somebody says in Korean, I think pizza sounds more like bija. Oh, okay. So it's just like the Hangulized version of the word in English. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, there's a question about another language for the stream, so that's pretty apropos. Could you consider adding a Spanish audio track to your videos? YouTube now allows multiple audio languages in VHelp. Oh, we were talking about doing something like that a while ago, and if things have advanced there, we were experimenting. There are like tools that will dub over what you say into another language, and they even use AI to like make your mouth match the other thing. And a couple months ago, like 6 months ago, we had some people looking into that. I forget what came of it, but we're very open to that. Okay, Generator block handles AI, AI integration. Yeah, we'll use, I guess I should just use Dartantic for that, huh? So I will leave this as a comment. So yeah, for this, I'll say use package Dartantic. I think it's Dartantic AI for this. Let me search and confirm that it is Dartantic AI. Pub packages Dartantic A underscore AI. Yes, yes. Okay, lovely. So great, using that. Caching data layer. Yep. Work plan, project setup. So I think I'm going to separately ask it to make a very detailed work plan that's like 10 times, 100 times as many words. But let's see, project setup, initialize dependencies, freeze block, etc. Data layer, implement learning profile, and vocab set persistence. It'll be very interesting, by the way, if it has any idea how to use my data layer package, because I have documented it very thoroughly, but basically nobody uses it. So nobody's talked about it ever. So it would only have any idea what to do if it reads my documentation. This will be an interesting test. UI setup, native target language selection screens, generator, category input and size selector. Oh, and then we also need to have previously selected categories should appear and be rechoosable, which is mighty fine English, when the user is selecting their category for a practice session. Okay. AI service, mock first, then implement. That's reasonable. UI practice, flashcard input interface, logic, spaced repetition algorithm, and progress updates. Those are great. Success metrics. Users can successfully generate. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to submit my review. This is a funny thing in anti-gravity. I don't understand why. So this submit button seems to just do nothing. And you have to go down to the bottom right and click this submit button. That's not my favorite. Okay. Gabery? I'm not sure I pronounced that right. Yeah. There's the age-old, it's not really age-old. The word vibe coding was invented like a year ago. But there's the year-old debate on, what exactly is vibe coding? Is it truly where you don't even read any of the code? It just writes whatever it writes, and then you YOLO your way through it. If it's truly that, that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm going to do. If it's you do a lot of review, the AI helps you a lot of the way, you stop and you write some things that you really want to be thoughtful about, like that's kind of my pattern generally. So muting myself nowadays is a lot more involved, as I have to turn the gain down. I don't just have the mute button in StreamYard now that I go straight to YouTube. All right, let's see what the changes it came up with were, if I can even remember my, oh wow, this is like just way longer. Why? Why would you assume this? I think it might, yeah, it might have no idea what I'm talking about. Interesting. Freeze class. All right. In the spirit of actually doing some vibe coding, I'm gonna let it cook, and then when it stops for something, we'll see what we get. See if it's good. Enter airport, select medium. Wow, it's really into the airport. I guess then you'd learn words like gate and luggage and security and passport. I guess that makes sense. Oh, what if a word exists in more than one category. So like, let's say I use the word vacation and it has the word luggage in it. And then I use the word airport and that generates the word luggage. But I've already practiced luggage. This means there's a problem in the schema because where did the schema go? Oh, I'm looking at the implementation plan. The PRD is over here. Well, that explains a lot. So, oh no, there's not a problem. This is nice. Okay, this is great. This is super good. So, when in the exact workflow that I just said, the user first selects vacation, and that includes the word luggage, taxi, and some of these words, right? It's going to generate that category. So this would say vacation in the database. And it would then generate all these word pairs. And there would be a one-to-many or many-to-many? A many-to-many relationship between vocab set and vocab item. And then I come back in later and I type in the word airport and it generates some of the same words. And so it just upserts these, but has, it can just relink them to like more than one category. So the mastery score will be retained. Nice. There is not a problem in the schema. It thought so far ahead. I love it. But for here, I'd say, let's store more information. Let's store the timestamp and result of every practice session instead of just the last practiced timestamp. I'm looking down at chat. Tell them to run Flutter Analyze at the end. Are we telling me or am I telling Gemini? Because we'll certainly run Flutter Analyze. I like what your app is going to do. I'm creating an app in Flutter that converts flashcards to games. I could use the output from your app as input in mine. Oh, well, that is an interesting collaboration idea. I'm curious what game you have imagined. That's fun. Okay, so I do know that I want that review to go through. Oh, I have to click this submit button. Very strange. Now I'll go back to read the implementation plan since I realize it's a different document. Okay, proposed changes. Well, there's no code that exists right now, so these are all changes. Everything is a change. And dev dependencies, this looks correct. Man, I was skimming this earlier and I was so confused because I didn't know I was in a different document. Okay, so data layer, learning profile, vocab set, practice record. Yes. New repositories, data repository interface and implement using data layer. Oh, I'm so curious to see whether it's going to have any idea what to do with that. That will be fun. State management, global state, learning profile, optional loaded, theme mode. Oh, theme mode, I guess. Sure. We'll have a dark mode. Oh, I could also use Stitch. Oh, there's an MCP server for that now, but I haven't set it up yet. I think it's coming out soon. It's not like it's not in GA yet, but I do want to use Stitch for this. All right, after this gets cooking, I will yeah, let's see here. As long as we don't get to any UI first. Yeah, UI implementation is really far down the line, so I can work on the designs in Stitch while it does these things. Okay, let's. So I'm going to say, how do I make sure it is always going to ask for my approval on like everything? So anti-gravity settings, review policy, request review. Yeah, always request review. That's what I want. Yeah, that's what I want. See? Okay. I don't know when. I want to say like proceed, but ask for approval after every major milestone. Let's see if that actually makes it proceed. Maybe it is. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to read some chat again. As a speaker, add a speaker feature so that when the user taps the speaker icon, the app reads the written question aloud. Oh, that's a good idea. That is it. What on earth? We already had a failure? What happened? Dartantic AI? Just, it's like, it's on pub. What are you talking about? No. No. What do you... Oh my goodness. I guess I have to reject these. Reject. I'm going to say package. We're not off to a good start on it, knowing how to operationalize data layer and package Dartantic AI are on pub.dev, you goof. I do like these. Those ones are winners. Okay, what is this? Analyze, allow. Sure, allow this conversation so you can see that that's not where it is. Are indeed available on pub. All right. A fact I'd incorrectly assumed. Well, they are packages that no one's ever heard of. So, okay. Let me switch over to Stitch. Now, the real trick is for me to remember to switch back to my desktop before I work for 7 hours. Stitch with google.com. All right, almost ready. Where's the button that I'm looking for? Here we go. Okay, so I'm at Stitch, and this is one of the things I don't love about Stitch. It has a really hard segmentation around app and web. It's like, and you can't cross the stream that easily, and I'm not in love with that. High quality designs in HTML with Gemini export to coding agents. Thinking with 3 Pro maximizes quality and reasoning over speed. I think I'll start with Flash. Let's see what that gets me. So the landing screen for a language. Actually, you know what I'm also going to do? Let's brainstorm some cheeky names for this. So let's say brainstorm cheeky names for a Flutter-based language learning app focusing heavily on pure vocab. Because that could influence what we do with wow, this is one of the worst names I've ever read in my life. Work Hard, a play on work hard. If we have a name, it might influence its design a tiny bit. So it feels like I should do that first. Also, how are you doing? Okay, that's good. Accept changes. Okay, yeah, use the latest, please. Okay, now we go back. Cheeky and sassy. Polly got it. Like Polly got a cracker. That's kind of funny. Verbish, because you're not fluent yet. You're just verb-ish. Oh boy. Fluent-ish. Gabby. Small talk. Well, that's a name that's already been taken. Raw vocab. Oh boy. Maybe like vocab dash. What about vocab dash? I kind of like that because that's an actual pun, you know? It works even if you didn't know the dash was related to Flutter. All right, vocab dash it is. A language landing screen for a language learning app called Vocab dash where the user selects their native language and the language they want to learn. We'll do other screens after that. All right, now back to Gemini. Let's see what you're doing. I think I need to make this a little smaller so I can actually read what on earth Gemini is doing. Okay, it's cooking. Love to see it. Oh, why are you implementing? Oh, wait, what? UI? Oh. Well, yeah, we got outsmarted. We got played, Davey. Oh, Andy Mounted says, I like your voice. Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. Sometimes you sound a little like Max Headroom or Matt Frewer. Both people I don't know. Hopefully they sound nice. All right, well, I guess we can look. Oh, I forgot to do the initial commit. I hate when I don't do that. Like, I really am annoyed by myself when I don't do that. I don't care about the UI at all yet. Where's the freaking... Okay, I don't care about the UI at all yet, so I'm just going to look at business logic. App block. What do you got? What do you got? Onboarding required, authenticated. I like this right now. So far, the authentication is just this learning profile. It's not going to scale at all if this is deployed, but I'll probably never deploy it. It'll just be on GitHub. So I think this will work. Then I, of course, won't be able to share progress across different devices. So we'll see how much I live to regret this decision. Okay, so an app event started, blah, 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 completed onboarding. That's the event. That's good. Oh, okay. I don't normally do... Oh, no. That is great. Okay, so we got the different events. I love doing states this way. Someone recently had a super interesting Reddit post where they were weighing the trade-offs between having a single state class. Oh, no, I don't do states this way. Sorry, what am I talking about here? What is this? I have typically done a single state class. This is 3 different state classes. And then you do state.copyWith instead of like emitting a whole different thing. I guess I'll just go with this one for now. This is not normally how I do it, but it was an interesting Reddit post talking about the different trade-offs. Yeah, I'll see how the other half lives for a little bit today. So we got the events. That's good. And then this block class looks right. This is good. I also don't do this at all. I don't like this. Here, I'm going to say convert all block on methods to my camera cord is covering the bottom right part of the screen where I'm typing. It's a little annoying. Convert all block. That's not how you spell block. Again, the camera cord is covering it. Block on methods to match the root event type, and then use Dart's exhaustive switch statements to ensure all event subtypes are captured. Do that. What do you want to do? You want to identify package API? Oh, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I don't like this code. Hopefully it will change it. So let's look at another block real quick. This is the same. Got a state, got some events. Oh yeah, allow this conversation. That's what I should have pressed. My dear friend, please read the code. Why is this happening? Do I have to approve every file one at a time? This is super interesting, by the way. It is not going to the documentation. Huh. Okay. So generate. All right, we got our data repository here. This will be interesting. Also, it's still reading the data layer. So like, what does this method do? DB query vocab set. What is the DB? Database is an in-memory data repository. No, this isn't. This isn't right at all. It's totally doing it wrong. It's instantiating some classes, but they are not correct. I wonder if I could just tell it to read the documentation. Oh, here we go. Whoa! Look at that. That's great. Okay. Vocab dash. Boom. That's so good. I'll use Nano Banana to make this a picture of a hummingbird, which will confuse anybody who doesn't use Flutter. And it'll be better. Okay, so great. Wonder if Stitch has feelings. Now, please design a screen where the user chooses a category of vocab words to learn. Is this what I want to do? Yeah. The user should be able to should be able to select from a list of pre-prepared categories or type in any free-form word to, or just submit any free-form word. Yeah, submit a free-form word. I think it'll know what I mean. I'm not exactly speaking very precisely in this interaction. Oh yeah, okay. What I want it to do is RTFM. Like, read this and then use the library. I wonder if it will do that. It's running build runner, and so it's still cooking. I don't really have any idea what it is built at this point, other than, boy, is the data repository wrong. Your use of package data layer is unorthodox. Unorthodox. Please read the documentation at this URL and adjust all usage. The hubris of telling it that its use is unorthodox when no one's used it before. All right, let's see here. Oh, will I share the source code to this? Sure will. I always put, all this code lives in the Observable Flutter repository at, on my GitHub. So Craig Labenz /Observable Flutter. That's where all of the really, really low quality code that comes out of this show lives in perpetuity. And it's a great example of what not to do. You too can learn by counterexample. Hate the $ symbol in variable or class name. Were we looking at some generated code there? Yeah, it's a little. Hi from Pakistan. What IDE is this? Why, this would be the floating in space anti-gravity, which looks a whole bunch like VS Code, because it is. Why don't you set up the link for data as an instruction skill? Oh yeah. I just haven't really gotten that into skills yet, but I do. Rody on our team, some of you may know Rody. He was on the stream last week. Has been talking about skills a lot recently, and we're incorporating them into how we think about everything. So yeah. The answer to why don't I is personal failings, not because it is a bad idea to do so. What is it saying here? One step requires input. Yeah, my dear friend. I want this to never happen again. Wow. Okay. Maybe I can allow list paths because this is painful. Again, open anti-gravity settings. Okay. Terminal sandbox. Commands run with sandbox restrictions. Like maybe that's the problem. Oh, file access. And okay, wait. Agent non-workspace file access. Well, boy, does this seem to be the issue. Here you go, my friend. Hopefully this takes effect immediately because I don't want to click this button anymore. How do you like them apples? It's probably an ice cube in here now. Oh, it's not good anymore. Oh, it's past its prime. It's like I'm taking a raw vitamin C pill or something. Oh, okay. Where was I? All right, I think it's maybe, what is it doing now? How am I going to know when it's time to read the code? This is like, I honestly don't ever vibe code off of Observable Flutter as much as I do on Observable Flutter. So I'm kind of always out of my element when I'm doing this and you're all watching. I still write the vast majority of code myself. I really love the autocompletes. I asked Gemini to write unit tests. Sometimes they're just perfect. Sometimes I have to like change every single one, but it still did most of the work. This is like the big experiment for me to have this many, this much of the code be written by not me. What is this bindings thing? Is bindings on the screen? Or I think it was just written over here. Yeah, okay. Well, let's talk about data repository. What is this? Remove. Whoa. It really is not happy with what it wrote. Okay. Try again, my friend. Bindings is a way that bindings is a way that the data layer library gets around Dart's lack of introspection and my lack of wanting to run a builder layer, or sorry, write a builder layer. So there's a couple pieces of kind of meta information about a given model that you want to use with this package that it needs to know. And in like Python, you would just interrogate the class and learn the information. In more mature products, you have builders, build runner paths or whatever project steps that provide that information because they interrogate the code and then they write the hard coded code that you need. I don't want to do either of those. So I just say you got a couple functions you have to provide, and they tell the repository how the thing should work in terms of your to JSON from JSON, how to get an ID out of the class, and different kind of like where it lives on the server things. And these are probably the least well-designed aspects of this because they're actually used for a little bit more than just these network requests. They're also used for namespacing in like Hive boxes. So, okay, I think we are maybe ready to read some of this code. All right. So I'm going to close this for now and let's see what it wrote. I would expect to need to provide like a Gemini API key, so that's interesting. I'm just going to accept the changes right now because I don't want to look at it all with a green overlay. And yeah, let's see what we got. So the app block, didn't I already accept all changes? On event, okay. Does on event then do the map? Event.map. Freeze took out event.map. You just use, this is why I don't vibe code. Am I using an ancient version of Freeze here? Freezed. 3.2.4. Whereas locally we have not that. What does anyone remember the command to block now has separate? You know what? I'm actually kind of behind on block. I have not updated to like block 10, I think. So there's that one. That ignorance could be coming from me. That call is coming from inside the house, so to speak. Okay, so what is it, like Flutter pub upgrade or something? Just upgrades everything to the major release. Oh, but then I think I need to use a flag for that. What is that? I think it's like literally major versions. Okay. Where did you come from? Major versions. You see there, what you're going to do now is update the dependencies. Yeah. Didn't do it at all. Wait a minute. It did for some of them. Oh, does it not do it for? What's happening? Why did freezed annotation not update? Oh, that is the right one for freezed annotation, but freezed itself needs to update. 3.2.4. Yeah, I think this is wrong for JSON serializable as well. Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah, okay. So the autocomplete knows because it was proposing 12. It's like, which of these other ones are wrong? Block, you're using 9. Again, 10 is the new one that I don't actually know anything about. I'll leave this one open. Block. Oh, 9.2. Maybe it's just Flutter block that got bumped. Yeah. Oh, no. Well, maybe I'm on 8. Okay, so 9.1.1 for Flutter block and 9.2.0 for block. So let's say header block 9.2.0 and Flutter block 9.1.1. Oh, God. Like, you don't need to just make stuff up. JSON annotation, what was that one? 4.10. It's like, oh, you want to do 6.12? No. I don't, as it were. Okay, this has been an exercise in chuckling to ourselves. Flutter pub get. Now I think we actually have some correct versions. Did that break anything? Yes, it did. Oh, OpenAI chat isn't defined. What nonsense did you come up with here? I'm just going to accept this, and we can read it and chuckle. Chat, OpenAI, placeholder. I just don't know about this vibe coding thing. Like, there's so much more code written right now than I could have written if I had been writing it for the last 70 minutes. But I don't know what any of it does. And I don't know if any of it's any good. And I'm getting a lot of signals that it isn't. So, like, what are you even talking about? What is this? Dartantic AI is apparently not being used correctly. We'll come back to this. Where do I want to look? I want to look at the whole kind of data flow. So I think the generator block is probably the most interesting. Didn't I accept everything? What's happening to me? Is there an accept all button? There is. I will press it, even though I think most of it sucks. So let's see here. The generator block. The state, again, this isn't how I do state. I'm going to change it. I don't think this is any good. I don't like it. It is ungood, in my opinion. So let's say const factory generator state. That's what I want. Thank you. Boop, 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 ba-doop, boop. And then I always make an initial generator, or sorry, an initial factory constructor. Factory generator state dot initial. There we go. That's good. And then this requires the old underscore trickerino. And you have to be abstract. And you need to be const. Don't get rid of it. Okay. Very nice. Is loading. So is loading will be true, I guess. I don't even know what these mean. Error message is nothing. There is no error message. Why don't you just be nullable and then you can be null? How about them apples? Also, you are not required. This could be default true. This one will be default false. This one will be default false. Actually, we don't need an is error. It's just if the error message is not null. There we go. And then the vocab set here will be default null. Yeah, I don't even know if I need default null. I think that might just be very obvious. So now my initial generator is an empty constructor. Great. All right, so the event here, I think the event looks set up correctly. Generate, yeah, that seems fine. And then the block, so what did it do for this? Yeah, what is in on event? You know, it's still using this. I forget if I told it to make this change or not. I'm going to just comment this out right now. I think I might have to do a little reading of the new block documentation to see kind of what its recommended pattern is, because I have not been using it for a while. Did you connect Stitch to anti-gravity via MCP? No, that is coming out very soon. And I'm David East, who some of you may know, longtime Firebase extraordinaire, DevRel extraordinaire, has been working on that. He's way more like Gemini anti-gravity focused these days. And he reached out to me literally yesterday and asked about doing a collab about Flutter and anti-gravity and Stitch. And we're going to do it. But nothing is planned beyond the fact that we're going to do it. So I don't know much about that yet, but it's coming. Are we hitting AI slop code nightmare now? Yeah, we are, Phoenix. Yes, we are. Maybe you're saying we should not code with LLMs. Yeah, I mean, this isn't what I do in my personal life. I write the code myself, and I have it help me, and it often helps a lot when it is like getting me from 80 to 100. But when it's getting me from 0 to 80, it actually just gets me from like, I mean, I think right now it's getting me from 0 to negative 20 or something. I don't know. We'll see. See if I can resurrect this. I'm probably going to go the full 2 hours today, so I have 45 more minutes to slap code around, and we'll see what we get to. Okay, so this all seems right. Like the block needs to take in repositories and services and whatnot, and I have a different idea for this service, so that I do want to spend some time on today. That is going to be kind of, I think, pretty valuable to show how the data layer library would like abstract this away. I think that'll be cool. Let's see here. AI, blah, blah, blah. That's fine on event. Okay, so this file is fine to walk away from for now, except what are you complaining about? Oh, I have to regenerate. I don't know if even regenerating will work right now. I can't type. I have no idea if I'm in, like, if I have parse errors or something that will prevent BuildRunner from even doing its job. Oh, yeah. Am I using the right version of pubspec.yaml BuildRunner? I don't know. 2.10.5. What was it? What did it say here? No, not even close. Amazing. Amazing. I know. Don't trust that code anymore. I'm going to run it again. Also, it's probably going to run a lot faster now that we're using not an ancient version. Okay, it also probably had a graph that it could reuse, so not a clean test. What are you complaining about? Missing, oh, abstract. Abstract. Okay. And then const here isn't a const constructor. Indeed it isn't. Because it's a factory constructor, which is necessarily not const. All right, so now I'm going to close a lot of files. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, maybe you check stuff off. I don't know. Yeah, so back in here, let's look at what on earth it did with the vocab repository. This is going to be importante, as my high school Spanish reminds me is the word for Spanish. Okay, so the whole concept of a repository in the data layer package is that you have a couple functions that you call, and those functions are repeated in this like internal nesting doll structure of classes that implement the same functions. And there's a managing class called the source list that iterates through its sources until the request for data is fully satisfied, at which time you get your answer. And you can have multiple sources, like a local memory source that gives you immediate responses. Or instead of local memory, maybe you would have Hive that gives you very, very close to immediate responses, still extremely fast, but with durability across application launches. And then let's say you're asking for something that the local memory or the Hive source doesn't have yet. Then you'd have a fallback source. It's like maybe you make a call to ServerPod or to Firebase or to an AI to generate the words. And once what the source list job is to do, so let's say this here. Oh my goodness. I haven't typed this in a minute. What is it? Formatter? Trailing commas. Yeah, that's it. Commas. Preserve. So then I might have like an API or like an AI source right here, right? And so I'd put some code in here. And so the source list is going to say, local memory source, you got the answer to this? And if it says no, then it asks the AI source. So in this case, it would like go to Gemini and generate all the words. And then it's a write through cache. So the response comes in and is actually saved to the local memory source and then is returned to whoever's talking to the vocab set repository. And then the next time you ask for the exact same data, the local memory source gets a cache hit. And it caches on all kinds of things based on what filters you used and if there's pagination. And there's TTL on the cache and all that kind of stuff. So what I want to do is not in my generator block have to juggle an AI service and the repository. I want to wrap calls, like Dartantic calls, to wrap them in like this concept of a remote source that will allow my block to remain as dumb as humanly possible and not know anything about whether or not there's a cache hit or to invalidate or do we need to ask Dartantic anything right now. Someone's asked, is bindings like a DTO? Not quite. So DTO, data transfer object. I'll look at it a little bit here. So in the source list class, here's like a get by ID function. So you pass in the ID that you want to load, but you can't count, the source list class can't count on the T object itself, like having an ID field. It doesn't know, maybe the ID field, by the way, is a number. Maybe it's a UUID. Maybe there is no ID field and you called it, primary key or something because you're dealing with some third-party API. So it just doesn't know that there's going to be an ID field on the thing, but it needs something to count as the ID that is, the unique string that identifies the object. So anytime anything in here needs to know something about the ID of an object, it'll call bindings dot yeah, get ID. So here it's just passed in as a closure to something else that's going to use it. So there's a handful of things like that. It also, because it's not using generators, it doesn't know where your like to JSON and from JSON are. It doesn't know that they're on the class. It can't count on that. So you just pass in the to JSON and from JSON classes, which is basically how all things in Dart work, though you could argue that other places have a little nicer ergonomics because they use a builder step, but not everyone likes builder steps. So here we are. Good question. Someone says, I don't like this injection pattern. I like RiverPod because I can access the provider from anywhere. I don't need to inject necessarily. So I think that's fair. The access from anywhere, I typically use get it to get that kind of access from anywhere. Also, data things that live forever don't need to be like page specific. So it doesn't make any sense to have them tied to the context and, get them from an inherited widget and whatnot. So like the accessible from anywhere pattern, I think is a good one. But the block itself, I think it still makes sense to inject its things into it for testing purposes. And then in like my real code, I will inject the real thing pulled out of get it. And then in a test code, I might pass in a mock. And so with the way that I would do this, AI service is going to go away. I would say vocab service, like this would be nullable. It's not actually required. And then this would be this, or like get it dot, blah, blah, blah. That's the way I typically do it. It's not perfect. You don't have to do it. That is what I will be moving toward as I make changes to this code. Oh, data layer package seems cool. Well, please tell me if you try to use it, anything that's confusing or doesn't work. I have a really big update that I've been working on locally for offline support. So you can pass in a stream. This would get passed into, I forget where I have it, probably on the repository or in like source list or something. You pass in a stream that emits true and false things for connectivity. And there's one that's ready to use that just uses the connectivity plus package. And so it can watch for when you're offline, and then also just like failures from server outages. And it will serialize the entire operation that you tried to do and save it in persistence, and then try via exponential backoff, or if the write failed because of a lack of connectivity. Once connectivity is restored, it'll just pull all of those out of a Hive box and then try to rewrite them. And you put TTL on that as well and whatnot. So if you were like playing a game on a phone, or playing a game on a plane, with airplane mode saved, and you finish the game and you have a new high score that needs to go to the server, but it can't because you're on a plane, it'll just store it and then try to submit it to the server when the plane lands. But that is not published to pub and GitHub yet, because I've still been kicking the tires on it. All right. So I'm going to work on the vocab set repository and this AI service that I have been talking about. So that is where I will begin. So I'm going to add an AI source that doesn't exist yet, and we'll kind of see how this should work. So it will have a vocab set as its type, and the AI source needs to exist. So I think I'll just put it in. No, I'm going to put it in. So I don't know. This doesn't really matter. But I will make a new folder called sources. Then we'll have a file called sources.dart, and it will have a class called AI source.dart. And then sources will export AI sources. Nope, singular, .dart. Okay. So in here, you can import data layer. See, this is the anti-gravity that I love. You know how this line is going to end? Thank you. And this is all correct. That's actually good. What's going on here? Isn't a valid overwrite T request details write request? Oh, yeah. Or write result, I think. T, there we go. Yeah, so there's a whole change coming. I wish I had published this, except it's not like bug tested enough yet. The function signature of these functions is changing to support the offline write. Like this is kind of a hard thing to serialize. So a write and a read operation class are being introduced that contain everything. So I'm going to write some code here that is just going to have to be updated when I publish the next version of data layer. We'll worry about that in the future. What other problems do you have, dear friend? Oh yeah, delete and source type. Okay, so we'll just add those. Okay, so the source type is remote for this. Oh yeah, I need to do this. Okay, source type is remote. This helps. Sometimes, not sometimes, you can ask a data layer, by the way, you can force a cache hit or you could force a cache miss. Oftentimes you don't care. You just select whichever gives me the answer first. But if you want to force a cache hit or miss, it needs to know for each source, is this on device or not on device? And so if you're forcing a cache miss, it will only ask remote sources for the answer. And then it will still save that answer to any local sources that were ahead of them. Okay, so this AI source is going to require an AI service. This is where this will come in. So now let's look at the AI service and see here. And now again, oh, and then it's going to need bindings for sure. So I'll say, let's get some bindings of T. Required this dot bindings. And that'll just be bindings of T. So this AI source isn't going to know, has no idea what T is. It might, like the first thing that we're going to operate on is a vocab set, but I might use it for other stuff later. So yeah, AI source doesn't know that it's a vocab set source. Okay, so let's look at the AI service that Gemini slapped together and see if there are any parts of it that we don't hate, which is a low bar, but we'll see here. So using a chat abstraction from Dartantic API, in a real app, we would inject a specific implementation. My brother in Christ, we are making a real app. What about I'm making an app? Did you not know meant I was making a real app? This is a Pinocchio app. It's real. Generate vocab. Okay, so we're getting a count here. Oh, prompt. Generate a list of count vocabulary words related to the category. The native language is blah, blah, blah. And the target language is blah, blah, blah. Return only a JSON array of objects with keys native and target. So this is good. Wonderful. That is good. Mocking the real call for now to ensure it runs without an API key. Oh yeah, it did say that it was going to mock first. So we're mocking a response. That's fine. This is fine. But what actually is it doing here? Native category word. Wait. Category word. No, this isn't even right at all. Look, it says native, and then it just says the word cat. It doesn't say native, like animal word. Oh, Lord. Hold on. You'll sell it by. I think I'm just going to write some JSON. This is really not good. Am I misreading what it's doing here? Look at some. Oh, I have to plug in my iPad that I'm using to read chat. What with how low the battery is getting. Nice. I've met a project that leverages building with AI. Well, leverage is interesting. I don't know if we're going to come out of this thing and think it was a good idea. If you don't separate your injections, your data probably will not have a cycle or the code to maintain many injections working on life cycle. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're getting at there, but there certainly are considerations to make. Why doesn't it know that it's a vocab set? What are you using? Type generic. La-di-da. Huh, what a great name. Asks. So the whole idea of this data layer package is that by defining some generic sources that don't know what data class they're working on, you can quickly slap together what's the source list class, and then you have a repository that is really repeatable. So right now we're just doing vocab set, but maybe you have 10, 20, 30 data types in your app, and defining the way that you interact with them in an extremely declarative and predictable way becomes as simple as this little definition that is admittedly like kind of tedious, but then all the rest of your app just gets to read and write data in a super generic way. So it can't know what it's loading. And that's why it takes a bindings object to tell it how to serialize and deserialize and find the ID off an object and blah, blah, blah. And then that was the thing that the very next person said to make it reusable. Yeah. Okay. 28 more minutes. How much can I get done? I want to make sense of this AI service here. I think I'm just going to say return. This is going to be vocab item. There we go. And then what's dog? Perro? I think there's probably a, wow. It knew. So I don't know what on earth this nonsense is, but I didn't like it. And I'll actually, yeah, it'll be a different thing to actually use Dartantic. Oh, chat is a Dartantic thing? Interesting. Okay. Well, we're not using convert anymore. So yeah, we'll use Dartantic in the future. But now we're going to get some words back. So that's our AI service. And the method that it has is generate vocab. So this might be like the vocab AI service. I would probably add like another layer of abstraction there, but maybe not. I don't know. I haven't used Dartantic AI in a minute, so I'm not totally up to speed on its latest stuff. So we're taking in the AI service, and now the AI source, it's our job to figure this out. So get by ID is going to be probably a thing that doesn't make sense for AI. So when I think about the flow here, the user is, yeah, I think actually the AI service has to kind of have similar methods because it's going to, not knowing what our type is here. Yeah, I think we need to have like a little bit more targeted AI services. Yeah. So this AI service is going to be, I think, the vocab set AI service. Oh, whoops, I forgot AI. And then I'm going to rename the file. Oh, I can't type it all. Vocab set AI service. Okay. So generate vocab is going to be, I'd say get by ID, or like, yeah. I think it's get by ID. Yeah. So we're going to say get by ID, and the things that this is going to accept are going to be a vocab set. What was in that class? The vocab set class, yeah. So we're going to take, oh, this is kind of interesting. I have to think about this. Oh, no. Yeah, we need to have, I think there's two repositories here. There needs to be a words repository. I need to start at the like center of the universe and build this outward. Oh, I'm gonna kind of have nested repositories here. This will be fun. So in the AI source, we're gonna have a vocab set AI source. Oh no. Oh, the AI source has to take the AI service. That's what it is, and then some bindings. Okay, so the AI source is in get by ID, going to accept a string that is the ID of the vocab set. So by the time it gets to the AI source, the source list has discovered that we do not have this locally. So the assumption of the AI source is that it basically is always generating new things. So the AI, the vocab set AI service, I think is going to also have to know like which languages it is working on. So I think that means that the vocab set repository is going to also have to accept the languages that it is working on. I think this makes sense. So if I go to vocab set, we see that we just have strings as these values. So I think they have to go here. And then we'll say final string, native. Oh, no, that's not right. That's not right. That's not a native term. We need the native, we need the languages. We need the languages. What class is that? Models? Wait, all of this is in models? Oh no, I just put sources in models on accident because I didn't know that I was doing it. That's why I did it. Okay, so practice record, learning profile. Oh, there's not even, whoa. Vocab set, a list of vocab item. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Where is, oh, vocab item was at the top. Oh, I have not fully even understood the models that it wrote. Okay, so let me see here. Vocab set doesn't actually like list the languages. So that seems like an enormous problem now, doesn't it? Where did I thought Dartantic, oh, hi Eric. I thought Dartantic was a riff on Pydantic every time until you said it just now. Well, I think it is. Wait, what did I say that made you think it wasn't a riff on that? I believe it is. I would, I think it is. I don't know what I said. Okay, so this vocab set is going to need, I think, to know about the languages required or involved. Okay, Eric says, wait, what? Is it not just an AI package? It's called Dartantic AI. We're going to have to ask Chris. I sure assumed that he took the name from Pydantic. Just like there was this old Ruby library for testing, for generating mock objects called Factory Girl. And then Django is like, oh, we want that. And the person named it Factory Boy and did the exact same thing. I thought that this was that kind of a situation. So, where do the, oh, that's in the learning profile is where that's coming from. Okay, so it's inheriting it from its learning profile, which it doesn't have a pointer to. This is interesting. Onboarding completed, that's fine. So is there a link from a learning profile to these vocab sets? And practice record, that's not it. That's just, yeah, that's not it. So learning profile, I don't really wrap my mind around these models that it wrote because I clearly don't understand them. Well, how do these things point to each other at all? like vocab set needs to know about the learning profile. That seems quite clear to me. So I think we're going to need I think I'm just going to have it be like learning profile ID. So required string learning profile ID. Okay. Now what are you mad about? Oh, abstract. All right. And then the category, this seems correct. In the vocab set size, boy, is that redundant. Whatever. The vocab items. So this would kind of just be like the IDs of the items, I think is how we'll want to do that. So this will again be a list of string, and this will be vocab item IDs and the date. Okay, that's good. So then the vocab item just has the native term. Okay, so it's going to inherit by way of like the page that we're on and everything. Okay. Interesting. I think starting at the center of this has been kind of a mistake. I should probably just like focus on the page where the languages are set. Like if I had not been using AI, I would have started with this screen that Stitch made, and I would make this screen. Didn't I ask it to make another screen? Where is that screen? Oh, here we go. Oh, nice. That looks great. Thank you. So I would have focused on just this screen, and I would have used a repository to get the learning profile or pull an existing one or whatever. And this is kind of interesting. Like these weird glyphs. It's like different languages overlaid on top of each other incoherently. And that I think would have been a much more understandable way to approach implementing this. Now we have this hodgepodge of stuff that may be good and maybe not. I have to untangle it. Vibe coding. Maybe I should look at that page. Screens. Onboarding screen, I believe, is it. But I really want to look at the block. Also, sources does not need to go in models. That was wrong the whole time. So in blocks, we have generator, and this is where I actually, okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. The AI service is not needed, as it wasn't needed before, because that's going to be a source on the, what do you want? Vocab set repository? No, not yet. Don't need that here. Here so this, we would just need like we'd need a language repository, which would be but doesn't exist at all yet, class. And we're going to need, I think we're going to have to get I have to have a language model. Yeah. Vocab set repository. Yeah, no, so that's now this language repository, because that's what we're going to have here to start. And then we're going to also, we will have a, what am I talking about? We will have a learning profile repository as well. There will be those two things. This is gonna make more sense. So what are our state here? This is the thing that I converted. That's good. The event here is generate, and here we are choosing a native language. Oh yeah, so because these are strings, this repository actually could basically just be like a string. So I think I can probably hide it. I don't think we're gonna have to pass it in. That'll be nice. But I didn't mean to delete the field. It does have to exist. So this is actually just going to be a language of repository of strings. Because because that's all we have for languages everywhere is a string. So this is going to be a repository. repository of strings. Let's see what it wrote here. String bindings. I'll make that in a second. And then our sources. Oh yeah, we're going to have to make this available somewhere. Let's call super. Oh, that is. Oh yeah, no, this is actually, I think, how this works. So we'll wait, how do I implement these? What do I do? This has really gone off the rails. Yeah, let me look at this game that I'm making. Oh, I remember now. I remember. I just make a static thing of it. Const string bindings. This is what it is. Yeah. Why are you not auto? Why are you not formatting? I bet there's some bad code above. Okay, what's your problem? Isn't a const constructor. Okay, then these functions don't do what they're supposed to do yet, so that's fine, but we'll come back to that. So we have our string bindings. I've never actually used this on just a string before, so this feels a little silly. It's never been silly. It feels less silly on data classes. It feels kind of silly right now. So the AI service here, so this is going to be like a dedicated, I think I'll probably just hard code this one. I think I'm going to like not ask Gemini to get all the language codes. That would be kind of wasteful. This is going to just be a hard-coded thing. So I'm going to also have a static version of this that loads class. This will be the language source, extends this, and the language source is going to implement a bunch of methods that we'll come back to later. Actually, I don't know if it's going to implement all of them, but we're just going to have the one source. Okay. And this language source, because there's only so many languages and that data set is extremely fixed, we can merely cache them all somewhere and return them. And it'll probably just be in like literally a hard-coded method. So that'll be nice and easy. All right. So also that's kind of highlighting that maybe a language repository is not even needed for that because it's just going to be a hard-coded list. So maybe this is really going around the block to get next door. Welcome to thinking through things while people are watching and having a lot of bad ideas along the way. It's called, oh wait, Eric says it's called Dartdantic. Is it? Really? I thought it would, yeah, no, it's just Dartdantic. Huh. Oh, I thought just, interesting here. I don't know. Is there a Dartdantic? No. Dartdantic. Well, look at all these different versions of it. Okay, I think it's just Dartdantic. Unless I'm really confused. Someone asks, what is your definition of a service and what is a repository? That's a pretty good question. It's actually quite a good question. So a service, I think, is a thing that like talks to something outside of my code. That's generally how I think of it. So a service accesses the file system. A service makes network requests. A service talks to Gemini. A service uses native APIs on the phone to get connectivity, for example. So like a thing that you cannot easily replicate in unit tests, for example, a thing that you are going to mock in a unit test is a service. And the reason that you encapsulate them in a class is so that you can pass in like a fake version of them. So that, to me, is a service. And a repository is a like higher level concept, and it probably has like inner services and whatnot that do actual work. And a repository probably exists to manage some kind of business logic. So in the source, or in the instance of the data layer package, the repository exists to have a slightly more ergonomic API than the source list. And that is going to actually, the difference between those two is going to go up after I release the offline rights stuff. But the repository class doesn't do a lot. It just basically has an optional parameter for this request details thing, which is required at the source list level, because there's a lot of passing around of all the parameters, and I didn't want to ever forget to pass the request details object anywhere. But I don't want to require end developers to pass an empty one all the time. So all the repository does is have a slightly more ergonomic option, or API, and it unpacks results, and it's like really, really straightforward. So that's, repository is managing services and applying some data, there's like some logic to it. You could really call the source list, it's like also kind of a repository, because it's doing a lot of managing of stuff. Anyway, that's a good question. I will now return to being lost in a hurricane of code that was shuffled around by a giant storm that came through, which I can only use to claim so much victimhood because I asked it to come through. But here we are. The next thing that we're going to have is the vocab. No, I think the vocab set repository is going to be on the next screen. Oh, no, yeah, sorry. It was the learning profile. Yes, learning profile repository. That we need. What are you mad about? As always, abstract. And again here, this is the ID. It's kind of random. That's good. All right, I think that's fine. So we're not going to have anything that runs in 6 minutes. This has really been an exercise in just figuring out whether or not vibe coding is a giant waste of time. But, and I'll let you draw your own conclusions. Because I wouldn't have had anything that had ran if I'd written all this from scratch myself. That is for sure. But I would have understood what existed. And I think I would have preferred that. I will still try to salvage this for the next 5 minutes. And then I will think long and hard and reflect on the life decisions that I've made that will inform what I do next time. In the onboarding screen, we're going to need a repository for learning profiles. That's what I was whining about. Let me close some of these things. I can basically close everything. Yeah, generator block. Is that where? What were the blocks? Yeah, I guess it's generator. Is this the onboarding block? What's the generator state? Yeah, is loading. There was some state I thought that showed whether or not onboarding. Oh, that was the app block. Yeah, so like I do always have an app block, but I don't know where this is used or like how. I think I'm drawing my own conclusions about whether or not I regret vibe coding the beginning of this. So let's add a repository for vocab sets. And this is going to be, I think, a thing that we pass in. Yeah. And then we'll set that here. Oh yeah, I'm excited for private named parameters. So we don't have to have this extra line. That's coming soon. That'll be nice. You'll be able to do this. I think this is what the feature does. Well, that's just a lin. Maybe I don't understand the feature. Anyway, so let's now, where this generator block is instantiated, that's in main.dart. Oh, that's another thing. So one thing I think is super important is to have all of your repositories be singletons that last for the lifetime of an app. Like blocks can come and go because they shouldn't hold on to any state longer than when you're on the page. That's my opinion. I don't know if you can all hear my wife. She's getting into a very exciting phone conversation and is starting to shout. Some people are louder than other people. Anyway, I think blocks can come and go. You know, I bet Remy would say providers can come and go, et cetera, et cetera. Like whatever is kind of page specific, that is fine to just kind of create on demand. I don't actually normally use block providers. I just instantiate the block in the page, like in its state of the screen that's going to use it. But then the block will always go grab an existing repository because that has like caching data and maybe a local memory source. And I want to be able to reuse data that I had loaded on my previous visit to that page or a different page that loads the same data or whatnot. So, also, oh yeah, there is this thing like a multi-repository provider that I have never used, and I don't really know the point of it, but maybe it helps. Do you do what I'm talking about here? Merges multiple. Oh yeah, okay, I don't care about that. I don't care about the merging. I want to look at an actual repository provider. Takes a create function, which is responsible for creating a repository of a child which will have access, blah, blah, blah. It is used as a dependency injection widget. Great. My question is, does it live forever or is it rebuilt? I'm not seeing any caching mechanism here, so it seems like it is rebuilt. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I would use get it for that. Well, folks, we've come up on time. So the existing code here is like basically useless. And I'm pretty tempted next time to not use any of this and actually just write from scratch, because this has not been very satisfying for me to basically inherit a bunch of technical debt. And I don't know how satisfying it's been for you all to watch me inherit this technical debt. So I am quite sure, my current very strong opinion of what I'm going to do next time I return to this, which again won't be until March. Because if you miss it from the beginning, I'm going to miss 2 weeks myself, enjoying life in the world. And then I have 2 guests as well, already scheduled for February. So it'll be March earliest before I return to this. Don't know what other guests might get scheduled. But when I come back, I believe I'm going to actually just write code and build an app the way I like, as opposed to basically getting a box of, someone is like opened a box of Legos that are supposed to build the Millennium Falcon, and they built the Eiffel Tower with those blocks instead. And it's kind of like leaning to the side. It's like a cross between the Leaning Tower of Pisa and the Eiffel Tower. But I still want the Millennium Falcon. And I wish that the pieces were all just still in the box. Like that would be easier in their individual baggies, like collected by type. I don't actually know if that's how Legos come, but in my imagination, it is. And that's kind of how I'm feeling here. This is amounting to a big, oh, thanks, you really shouldn't have, which I asked it to do, so I can't be mad. But I'm curious how you're all, this is my first episode of Observable, but live stream, liked it very much, enjoyed it very much because it's very relatable. Yeah, well, I suppose This probably did feel a little relatable. Next time I would love to see you cleaning it up. Oh man, but wouldn't it just be easier to clean it up from scratch? Someone says I use Get It for everything. Someone else does use repository provider, but then immediately after says Get It is better. Interesting. Yeah, I don't actually know the philosophy behind the repository provider. And I think that is, it wouldn't be very hard to figure out. I could just message Felix and ask him, or read documentation that surely explains it somewhere. But yeah. AI coding. Tornado, could you please blow through my living room? Yeah. It's like, I don't have a house yet. I just have an empty lot. And the first step that I get is for a dump truck to come in and just like throw all the construction materials in a giant pile in the middle of the yard. It's not that bad, but like, I don't know, it doesn't feel that much better than that either. So, all right. Yeah, from scratch might be better, Phoenix says. Yeah, I think that's what it'll be. Sadly, it's gonna be a whole month out. So this means it's gonna be at least a month before I have anything other than this to use, which means my Korean learning will remain lethargically, glacially slow, but it is what it is. Well, folks, I don't know how much fun I had. I hope you all had some amount of fun. I think that is going to do it for today. I'm going to call this one kind of a miss. You can call it however it felt to you. Next time, I believe Language Learner is going to be started from scratch. It's going to be called vocab dash when I run Flutter Create. It's going to be entirely new. I'll probably also start with some Stitch. I will use Stitch for the UI because there ain't no way that I would come up with anything better than this. So I'm going to use Stitch still. That will be a big AI contribution. AI will help me as I write this. I might ask it to implement little things. I'll ask it to write tests. And that will be a broadcast of how I actually do Flutter development and not what this has been, which is not how I do Flutter development. And probably other people are better at this than I am. But I'm not better at this than I am. Quite a profound statement. All right, folks, that is going to do it for today. Thank you all for suffering through this with me, for putting up with whatever this has been. Enjoy. Have a great week. And next week, I do have a very fun guest. I am really excited for next week. Part of me wants to work on this next week, but a big part of me is really excited for next week. This is a topic that has been on my to learn list for years. And I'm finally going to learn it because someone's going to come on the stream and walk us all through how this thing works. And I'll leave you all with bated breath for a few days until I make the stream on YouTube. Until then, everybody, happy fluttering.